After 11 seasons of The Walking Dead, we only have 6 more episodes of this spin-off to conclude the story of Rick Grimes. It's crazy to think that we've been waiting this long to see how it ends, and I'm sure that for many of you watching, it's kind of frustrating how limited your options are for streaming these various spin-offs, especially if you live outside the US. Even though I already subscribed to Amazon Prime, I still had to purchase these 6 episodes.
Oh, no.
If you're in the same situation that I was, this video might be of service to you, as I recap every episode of The Ones Who Live. I know that title may seem a tad dramatic, as there's only 6 episodes, but a good chef sticks to formula when cooking. Way back in the finale, we saw Rick wearing a strange jacket, while a helicopter was tracking him down for trying to escape. And I, like many others, was super confused by this, because in order to know that this logo belongs to the CRM, you would have had to watch the other spin-off called World Beyond. And honestly, who could blame you for not doing that? The immediate benefit of watching The Ones Who Live is it gives us context for that helicopter scene. And speaking personally, I feel better about the finale now. But more to the point, we want to know if the rest of Rick's story will lead us to a satisfying conclusion. It's only the protagonist of the entire franchise, so please don't mess it up, AMC. A number of years have passed, and Rick's in his new housing feeling depressed and looking to give himself a deadly kind of shave. But as he's the one who lives, he can't go through with it. His feeling right now is that he can't escape the clutches of the CRM, the Civic Republic military, who seek to gain control of this new world and bring back order. Again, if we wish to know more about these guys, we would need to venture down the road of watching World Beyond. Yep, lot of history down that road. We flash back to his most catastrophic escape plan, which he enacts while being forced to clear out walkers from a forest. Aesthetically, I'm already impressed with the show. The harsh contrast of the red and black colour palette of the CRM, mixed with the vibrant and angry glow of these fires, is frankly bloody amazing. Let's hope the other filmmaking elements match this quality. Rick is tethered to another soldier, and he runs away until the tether maxes out, so he can attempt an escape. In his desperation, he takes his axe and chops off his own hand. It's quite poetic when you think about it. He once offered to chop off his hand to save Carl's hand, and now he's actually following through with it, so that he can be reunited with his family. This gets extremely gruesome as he cauterizes his stump, using the burning guts of a walker. Worse still, he went through all of this and still can't escape the CRM. The weaker aspect of this show for me are these dreams that Rick has, where he meets Michonne in an alternate universe, which isn't overrun by zombies. There's nothing offensive about these dreams, and I do get why he's having them, but with only 6 episodes, I'd rather just focus back on the real side of Rick's world, so I'm going to be skipping these dream scenes. Rick's internal monologue explains that the next thing he remembers after the bridge being blown up is waking up in the CRM hospital, situated within a hidden city, aka Philadelphia. Go Eagles. As this place offers such high levels of security, with reasonably comfortable living conditions, none of the Civic Republic citizens have tried to run away. That was until Rick arrived. He's being kept a close eye on by Lieutenant Colonel Okafor, who's considering him for a promotion, in an attempt to sway his mind towards the positive side of being a respected member of the CRM. But Rick stands firm in wanting nothing to do with their greater plans. While contemplating his choices, his weird Latino friend comes along to offer some exposition about their friendship, and he also informs Rick that he's been promoted to Manager of Water and Power to the whole city of Philadelphia, or whatever they're calling this place now. For as cheesy as their dialogue exchange is, they do have some fun chemistry.
I should have got you a gift.
Come on, Rick, what the hell are you gonna get me? A scowl?
He also plants the idea in Rick's mind that being an official CRM soldier will grant him more liberties to explore outside the walls, which means that he can try another escape plan, and that's exactly the road he takes. Training alongside this South African woman named Pearl, who like him was taken in by the CRM against her will, and at first she kinda hates it here too. Okafor takes these two aside and explains that their multiple attempts to escape demonstrates a level of passion and determination, and that's something he wants to utilise in making positive changes in the CRM. He also explains the definition between those people classified as A's and those as B's. You see, according to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a B. If you remember Jadis on the radio labelling people that she was about to give to the helicopter, we now know that Category A's are people considered to be dangerous, non-complicit leaders who would pose a threat to the CRM. Rick and Pearl were labelled as A's, but Okafor stepped in to prevent them from being killed, seeing their potential to make the aforementioned positive changes. He believes the CRM could be leading down a very destructive path, and ultimately fail their objective of saving the world. Maybe Rick Grimes and Pearl could be the heroes they need. The head of the CRM is Major General Bill, and it seems that even though I'm on a short break from Lost, there's no getting away from John Locke. His name happens to be John in this show too. He explains that Okafor is very similar to Rick, in that he will break the rules to do what he thinks is right. He then asks him if Okafor's up to anything suspicious lately that he should be aware of, saying there's no need to answer verbally, he'll be able to tell just from looking at his eyes.
No. Good, Rick.
Rick uses his friend Esteban to show him where the sewer system leads to, as maybe he can use it as an escape route in one of his plans. On his next mission, he spots an opportunity to escape through a manhole, but as he goes to toss a grenade into the walkers, one of the walkers turns out to be a screaming young girl, and so he throws it into the manhole instead. Pearl gets rid of the walkers and criticises him for trying to escape again, saying the only way to realistically save his own life is to stay in the CRM, as no matter where he runs, the CRM will find him again, and they will do so at all costs, because they know more about Rick and his people than Rick was aware of. He sneaks up on Okafor while he sleeps, demanding to know exactly how much he knows about Rick and his people.
You know, maybe I shouldn't have told Thorne I know things about you, but she tells me things.
Rick continues to lay into him, frustrated at his reluctance to let Rick go home, feeling that he hasn't experienced loss like he has. But then Okafor explains that he had to kill a ton of Marines, including his own wife, to stop them going ahead with their plans to bomb another city like they did to Atlanta. Rick's at the point of giving up, burning all his contraband memories and letters that he wrote for Michonne. But then when he's travelling by helicopter somewhere, they get ambushed from the ground, with Okafor being unexpectedly killed off and the rest of them making a crash landing.
Prepare to engage. Go!
Someone with Michonne's samurai sword starts taking out the survivors, and when this mystery woman gets to Rick, she holds up Michonne's sword to his throat, but then hesitates when she sees that the person she's about to kill is Rick. Oh my god, it's Michonne, no way, that's crazy. And that's how the episode ends, with a hard cut to credits, or in my case an ad. It's time for the joyous, tearful reunion, after 37 more minutes, as we watch Michonne's journey getting here. It's a good 37 minutes though, and the best Walking Dead content I've seen in a while. Michonne is being interviewed by a travelling community, and no, not the type that everyone hates. But she's more interested in just taking a horse and leaving. She saved 2 of their people off screen, so in her eyes it's a fair trade. They warn her that the place she's travelling to is in the path of a massive walker herd, so she'd be better off sticking with them until it passes. She ignores their advice and heads off into the herd, armed with some sort of projectile bottle rocket thing called a scream stick. And not to sound like a serial killer, but I really like the way it screams. She then notices this walker on fire carrying a gas tank, which explodes and launches the head right into her shoulder. With the horse bolted, she believes her ticket is up, but then 2 more bigger and more purple explosions make the walkers pass like the Red Sea, and it's all thanks to her travelling community friends, who didn't feel right abandoning her. I find it a bit strange how they've immediately decided that Michonne is the best person ever, so much so that they were willing to break their own rule about leaving people behind if they don't keep up. Even this guy, Nat, says that she's one of the few people he actually likes, after having known her for less than 24 hours.
I like these 2. And now I like you. Not too keen on losing 33% of the people I can stand on this planet, however recent the acquaintance.
While venturing for a town, a CRM heli turns up, and it's not here to make friends, dropping a ton of chlorine gas on them. Another great visual, which marks the start of my favourite sequence in this spin-off. The few who survived the gas take shelter in a shopping mall, but even though they're alive, their lungs are messed up big time, and they struggle to hold on. Michonne manages to find some oxygen tanks, but unfortunately it's too late for the pregnant woman. Wow, turning Walker has given her such vibrant hair. And look at those piercing blue eyes. Again, not to sound like a serial killer, but why does she look better now she's dead? Michonne being jealous of her glow-up puts an end to her. In the end, it's just Nat and Michonne left, and they spend months in recovery, watching the seasons pass, gradually healing their lungs and regaining their strength.
The gas burnt out our lungs, our throats. It's gonna take a while to get better.
I like the parallel of Michonne being trapped, unable to continue her journey to find Rick, just as Rick's also unable to escape and continue his journey. Nat's terrified of losing the one friend he has left, so he agrees to come with her when they're fully healed. They go to a place called Bridges Terminal, as Michonne believes that's where Rick might be, but when they get there, there's no sign of life. Nat tries to comfort her as they sit by a fire, saying that the Japanese written on her phone translates to believe a little bit longer. It's interesting that Rick and Michonne chose Japanese as their code language, as the idea that either of them have any proficiency in the language was never really explored, with the only hint towards an interest in the culture being that Michonne is trained to use a katana. But still, I think it would have been cool to explore that history a bit deeper. As they continue on their journey, they spot a CRM helicopter inbound, so Nat sets up some of these scream sticks to bring it down, and well, let's just fast forward because we know where this is going. Rick and Michonne share a tearful embrace, and Rick feels like he needs to make it clear right off the bat that even though he's assigned as a member of the CRM, he's not with the CRM. Nat pops his head up to say hello to Rick, but he gets shot down.
You can still believe. And no. When?
Not the saddest death in his franchise, but he was decent enough. Their joyful reunion has to be cut short, because Rick's distress beacon will be bringing in another chopper. Knowing how controlling the CRM are, and how likely they are to view Michonne as a threat, he urges her to pretend to be a vulnerable survivor who needs the CRM to give her shelter.
We will get away. I love you!
Back at base, they have to sneak off to slap tongues. She decides to not tell Rick about Rick Jr. yet, hoping to keep him calm and collected. But in my headcanon, I like to think that she simply forgot RJ's name, because absolutely no one cares about that character. The episode ends with Rick speaking with Jadis, a character that I only care about 10% more than RJ. Even now that she's speaking like a regular human, I still find her annoying to listen to. There's a smugness in her aura.
And I'm sorry for the language, but you've heard a lot of language from me. Yes, yes, yes.
She's a higher ranking member of the CRM, and she threatens to tell everyone who Michonne really is, unless he promises to behave himself and stop trying to escape. We have a brief flashback to when Rick was inducted into the Civic Republic. Jadis defends her actions in bringing him here, saying that being here will do him well. Life in the Civic Republic is pretty cushy.
You brought me somewhere. I can't leave.
Could have chosen to let you die on the riverbed.
We skip forward to their conversation in Rick's room, but it's kind of a long, drawn-out repetition of the points she already made, so we're going to skip forward further. Rick was very clear on Michonne not making herself stand out from the crowd as a highly skilled killer, but here she is ripping off a walker's head and using it to behead another walker, even though the guards just gave their orders to stand down and allow them to take out the threat. Pearl gets promoted above Rick, and she warns that Michonne is being noticed by the higher-ups. You failed your one task. She also warns about the horrors of the echelon briefing, which is given to people who reach Pearl's level of command. The echelon briefing gives details of the CRM's greater plans to take control of this new world. Rick passes Michonne a note giving details of where to meet so they can try to escape, but when she gets there she finds another note saying that he's not coming with her. He needs to stay behind to make sure that the CRM never find Alexandria. She ignores his instructions to run away, and the next day she's back to killing walkers, but this time with a fiery rage. Everyone's impressed with her ability to stand in one spot and do a repeating stab motion. Whoa, watch out, John Wick. You might be interested in this bit of world building, seeing the artist who does all these sketches on the TVs and phones. It's a cool concept for the phones, which will probably never be used again, but the TVs are still very much in use. As we can see here, they've already restored a local news channel. They're given a new mission to manually clear out some walkers, where their usual method of distraction charges isn't working. Pearl isn't strong enough to push the mobile bomb unit across the terrain, so Michonne decides to step in, ignoring Pearl's commands in order to get the job done. I enjoyed this POV shot as they're mowing down the walkers. Rick and Michonne take cover for the explosion, and they take this opportunity to do some more lip wrestling. Rick angrily warns that if she sticks around making a name for herself, this whole plan is going to fall apart.
You're going back to base right now, then I'm getting you the hell out of here. If I have to knock you out, I'll put you on that goddamn boat myself.
On the chopper ride back, Michonne grows tired of playing this game and just wants them to escape now. So using the cover of the storm, she opens up the doors and launches them out. They take shelter in a swanky apartment building, which appears to be untouched by the crumbling world around it. I want to preface this episode recap by saying that I did actually enjoy this episode, but the majority of it is just Rick and Michonne arguing, and I feel that recapping all the ups and downs of this sequence wouldn't do it much justice. So I recommend that you watch it for yourself, and I'll highlight the key moments, such as Michonne finally revealing that RJ exists.
His name is Rick. We call him RJ. I was pregnant when the bridge happened. He's almost 8.
Instead of having an overjoyed breakdown in tears, Rick insists that he returns to the CRM. The years of imprisonment and failures to escape have conditioned him to believe that the CRM will always have control of his life, and by extension the fate of his family.
You need to give it to me!
Raising our kids, believing you were alive, and you were!
You think I didn't want to be with you? I tried everything.
This is a real showcase of their acting skills, where I feel they usually get held back by the cheesy dialogue. Even their reunion scene felt a little corny to me. Their acting is fine because they're good actors, but the way they forced in Michonne's cheesy ass line takes away a small chunk of my enjoyment for this scene. For comparison, let's revisit the scene where Rick is reunited with Carl and Laurie. Notice how this scene showed you how they're feeling, rather than telling you how they're feeling. We don't need to be told that he found them, we can feel it with their acting. Well, anyway, the next morning they notice that their helicopter never made it back home, which is perfect because now the CRM will believe that Rick and Michonne died in the crash. But Rick is still like, nah. What I said about returning to the CRM earlier still stands. Understandably, Michonne is at the point of giving up on him, feeling that he's lost all his courage to try and come home. And so she storms off, with Rick following shortly after, realising that he's about to lose her for good. Another CRM helicopter comes along to destroy the evidence of the previous one, for reasons that I don't believe are ever explained. The explosion causes their adjacent building to become structurally unstable, giving Rick and Michonne an uncertain amount of time to try and get out before it collapses. After a few setbacks, they quit trying to escape for a while, so they can catch up on some family-friendly cuddling scenes. All jokes aside, Rick's emotional breakdown afterwards is decent. You really feel how far he's fallen from the man he once was. He explains how difficult it feels to survive when he feels so broken and dead inside. She reminds him that the spirit of Carl is still with him, asking what he thinks he would tell Rick if he was still here physically. And with this, Rick feels a fire reignite in his soul, and they manage to escape the building with seconds to spare, watching the building collapse as they roll away in a car. We open with a flashback of Gabriel trying to find Jadis, and we find out that they meet in secret once a year, purely on a friend level though, as being a couple in opposing communities would be near on impossible. Yeah, remember these two were a couple once? Because I kinda forgot. Each year that goes by, Jadis feels more and more disconnected from the person she used to be, having to do horrible things while serving the CRM. She gets to a point where she feels that she's created a loose end in having Gabriel as a friend, and the kindest way to cut to the chase would be to kill him now, but she can't bring herself to do it. With this revelation, Gabriel tells her that she just found her new way in life by showing mercy and being a good person when the chips are down.
You came to me to help you find an answer. You just found it.
Rick and Michonne make their way back home, picking up supplies where they can, and they stumble upon some tasteful nudes. A pretty funny joke if this was aired 10 years ago, but it's nice of them to try and add some humour in the show. They come across some people being attacked by a new variant of Walker, with their faces being calcified by the steam from the hot springs, or something.
You cracked. I break, you stab.
Instead of being thankful for the rescue, these guys pull out their guns, but they don't know who they be messing with.
We saved you. And the only people in danger of being killed, well, it isn't the helpers here.
How have they survived this long, being this cowardly, peeing their pants the second they start losing a battle? Jadis gives them a surprise wake-up, revealing that she knew they were still alive, because she noticed the car was missing outside the building. They evade her assassination attempt, and they enter a car chase where they manage to ram her off the road, and then Jadis stumbles upon the people from earlier.
Good goddamn. You look like a pile of hippo shit, sister.
I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just need a little help.
They team up with her on the promise that she will bring them into the CRM, but Rick and Michonne make short work of tearing down their team, leaving only Jadis to deal with. While they're having a meaningful exchange of words, she gets snuck up on by a walker, and she's fatally bitten.
Everything I've ever had lost was tired of losing. I was finally part of something that could last.
Finally, we see the day where Jadis is killed off from The Walking Dead. In her final moments, she reveals that Rick was due to receive the Echelon briefing, so if only he had stuck around a bit longer in the CRM, he would have obtained some critical insider information that he could have used to bring down the operation. But not all hope is lost, because there is a chance that he can still save Alexandria, as Jadis tells them that she has the file on Alexandria hidden away in her office. Not a bad redemption arc, for a character that I wasn't too keen on. So, this is it, the closing chapter on Rick Grimes' story. This might be the last time we speak his name. If you've been with me since the start of our Walking Dead journey, I want to hear your thoughts on the ones who live down below. Are you satisfied with how they carried on Rick's story? And when I show you how it ends, will you be left satisfied, or wishing that they just let the franchise die? If you don't have any thoughts on this and simply enjoyed watching the video, it would mean a lot to me if you make that like button dance. And now, let's finish this story. They make a plan where Rick goes back into the CRM, officially declaring himself as still alive, and maybe if he's a good boy, he can still receive the Echelon briefing. Meanwhile, Michonne will sneak in as a CRM ghost, hoping to not be picked up by their EMF readers. She sneaks into Jadis' old room to find the dossier on Alexandria, and comically, she finds it stuffed inside a cat's anus. Rick is receiving his Echelon briefing from John, and it's a really cool scene. They both share their horror stories of what they've had to do in order to survive, and Rick describes the worst thing he's ever done as being the time that he ripped out that guy's throat. The big secret plans of the CRM are revealed, and it's that they're going to bomb every outsider community to their main base here. So we're not just talking Alexandria, they're actually planning on killing their own people, because resources are drying up, and also the number of walkers keep rising, so maintaining all of these smaller CRM outposts is spreading their resources too thin.
We will burn things to bring things back. The sword that kills is the sword that brings life.
Michonne is learning some of this information too, watching a presentation where they show the select few children who will be evacuated before the bombing starts. John offers Rick the chance to save the ones he loves, so long as he swears by the sword to be a part of these plans. But he's heard enough of this evil.
You were gone. You were dead. You could have saved whoever you wanted to and then saved the world. Why? The world isn't gonna win.
He jabs John in the chest, going through his hand, and he tries to sneak his body out of there in this conveniently sized container. But the dripping blood catches a soldier's attention, and so they scuffle. Michonne and Rick's greater plan is to blow up this main base, using a bunch of grenades and C4 set up next to the CRM's missile stash. They come up with this convoluted trigger idea of tying the grenade pins to the walker versions of the soldier that Rick killed and John. They'll lead the walkers out of the tent until they max out their tethers and pull the pins out. Doesn't this idea create a ton of variables though? Like, what if one of the walkers stopped following them because a CRM soldier caught their attention? Or maybe the booming sound of the speakers draws them away? would have been safer to combine the two tethers and have either Rick or Michonne yank it out at a safe distance. Well, anyway, their plan encounters a hiccup when Pearl catches them in the act. She orders them to march back into the tent, but they jump for cover, seeing the walkers about to pull the pins. This explosion scene was awesome, and the final fight scene between these three is visually interesting. I just wish the final fight was with someone else other than Pearl. I find her voice a bit one note, and her character was never that interesting to me, so I was fairly happy seeing Michonne take her out using John's sword. And now, we have the final scene of Rick's story, and to mark this special occasion, I've included my live reaction to it. I don't really like showing my face, but I was anticipating an extreme reaction, seeing as how this is the end of Rick's journey. But unfortunately, the reunion between Rick and his children is terribly underwhelming. The kids immediately run to Michonne first, and it feels like Rick is an awkward third wheel, just kind of standing there looking a bit lost for an uncomfortable amount of time. You've not seen your father for longer, how about giving him a hug? Hi, Daddy here. They don't even look that sad. They're just a bit like... Oh, for God's sake. Maybe not sad. Sad's not the word I'm looking for, just like...
Brave man?
Big emotional moment, let's ramp it up a little bit. Oh. So underwhelming for Rick Grimes' story. It's not the worst ever, but we've been following this man for 11 seasons plus 6 more episodes of a spin-off, and this is it. It just doesn't feel very impactful. All that time investment that we've made, and I don't feel like there's much of a payoff, really. And look, I can understand in the case of RJ, he doesn't really have an emotional connection with Rick yet. But in the case of Judith, he's just kind of treated like an afterthought. And there we have it, it's over. It's weird, I feel like I want more from this franchise, even though I'm kind of sick of it. It's like a morbid curiosity to see how many other possibilities there are that they can get away with making and still retaining some kind of audience. Thank you as always to my amazing Patreons and channel members. See you on the next one.